Peace and blessing, family. It's your man Marifa, and welcome to another Marifa moment where knowledge is reborn. Are you ready? Let's go. All right, yeah, we black. It's your man Marifa, black yet again with a great topic, man. We're gonna be talking about the African origins of Asia. Yeah, you heard that right. Africans in Asia. You heard me? But before we get into all of that, you know how we do it. We got to check out our banner. Get our admin notes out the way. Check this banner out right here. You know what I'm saying? We need you to like, subscribe, follow, and share all of our social media platforms at Marie Fassar LLC. We on Facebook, Instagram. We now even on TikTok. So check us out over at Marie Fassar LLC. Also, second thing we need you to do, go over to mariefassar.com right after this video. Get you some fly and fresh gear and get yourself fresh for the fall and winter fashions. You dig? Check out these fly melanated beans you see here right on the screen. Boom, it's hoodie season. You heard me? So you got to go out and get you a fly hoodie. You know what I'm saying? Take advantage of the sales right now. 15% off everything in store, you know what I'm saying, with the promo code BLK. Don't forget to use that promo code BLK and get 15% off your purchase today. So dig, check that out. We got that out the way. Are y'all ready for the lesson for today? Well, let's go. All right, family, we black. Let's get on our lesson. You know what I'm saying? Now, when we're talking about the African origins of Asia, and when most people, when they think about Asia, what they think about, certain, relics and icons and things of that nature, and they think of the Great Wall of China. You know what I'm saying? They think of Chinatown, with the dragon and all of that stuff like that parade. They think of Bruce Lee, they think of, Chinese restaurants and stuff like that. But most people will not associate China when they look at the map, and see that China is pretty much, the eastern part of the globe, you know what I'm saying? A little bit further east in Africa. It's not too far, you know what I'm saying? So looking at the seas and the trade winds, you notice the southern tip of that area. If you're looking at this map here, you see the green and the red and the orange and things of that nature. And then you see China in yellow and then Russia in pink way up at the top. But we're going to be discussing the southern parts, of this map right here. And you see like the green and stuff like that. We already discussed and talked about Saudi Arabia and India, you know what I'm saying, in previous videos. But right now we're talking about the African presence in Asia. All right. They won't associate Asia with Africans. All right. So clearly you see there's an African presence that was there prior to what you associate and affiliate Asia with today. All right. So before, the albino Asian, the Mongoloid, had an albino baby and created lighter skinned Asians, there was an African presence in Asia. You know what I'm saying? So you can tell right here from the Buddha head, the cornrows in the head, that's an African trait, characteristic. And the earlobes, the extended earlobes, the African trait for the extended earlobes. All right. So it's clearly, African presence in Asia. And then you could tell here in the walls of Kemet, this is a picture that I took in one of the temple reliefs where the brothers are actually doing karate. The Africans are doing karate. So we invented karate, you know what I'm saying, and took it to Asia. That was a form of defense for us as Africans. And it's clearly depicted on the walls in Kemet in Egypt, which is in northern Africa. Okay. Centuries and centuries and centuries before, the Asia that you know of today. All right. So when you're looking at the ancient Africans, we were the first to navigate the seas and the waters. All right. We built boats first. We didn't walk everywhere. You know what I'm saying? When we migrated out, we navigated those oceans and those seas using the trade, the currents. All right. The wind currents and things for every seasonal, direction that came through. So that's how we were able to get from one part of land in the world to the next. No different than traveling today on boats. As you can see, the directions in which, the travel, the Africans were going back and forth from Africa, to the eastern part of the world. You know what I'm saying? So you looking at how they traveled into India, into Saudi Arabia, down into Thailand, and then also going into, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Japan, Philippines, Australia. You know what I'm saying? Africans were traveling, by boat, during those times, and you can see it depicted right here on the walls in Kemet. So they carved it in the walls, the things that they were doing. So that lets you know this is all way back in the BC era. Okay, these stone reliefs go way back. All right, 2,000, 20,000, 25,000 years. All right. So Africans were traveling way before anybody had discovered anything. And the temple reliefs that you could see in Sumeria, which is modern day Iraq, will tell you the same thing. The African presence. You see that you have the Uraeus at the top, the winged sun disk right there. That's the African presence. So all over the globe, Africans were traveling in ships and boats. And you could tell the Asian influence by the Khoisan. The Khoisan of South Africa, you could tell their features come from African people. Remember, I told you in the video, The Black Woman is God, that the black woman is the only woman on the planet who's able to create all phenotypes. Okay, she's able to create the slanted eyes, the broad nose, the woolliness and straightening of the hair, the pigmentation of the skin. So the black woman is the only one with the mitochondrial DNA structure on the planet to be able to create all types of human beings. Okay, you could tell the shapes and sizes right there, the Khoisan, the slantiness of the eyes, the flatness of the head right there, the shortening of the lip, the pointiness of the nose, but clearly still African. Okay, so these are where you get your original Asians from. All right, the Khoisan. So the Khoisan went on boats and they traveled and they went into Thailand, they went into India, then they kept going to Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam. You can see on that map right there the area in which they covered. Now they had a tribe in which, was prevalent in that area, and you can see they built structures that were similar to those back home in Africa, in Kemet. This is Angkor Wat, okay, in Cambodia. Angkor Wat is right off the lake and shores. You can see the waters, the rivers that come through there, the Angkor Wat, and you can see like the cone shapes at the top look like, obelisk, you know what I'm saying? Obelisk pyramid structures. And you can see the Buddhist monks that are walking up there. That's where they go in to worship and the ancient relics of the African. Okay. And here, this is the temple of Isis in Philae. All right. Down in Aswan in Egypt. Okay. So it's a similar structure that you see right here. That's Angkor Wat in Cambodia. And then that is in Egypt. You know what I'm saying? The temple of Isis. Okay. Off the Isle of Philae in Aswan. So you could tell that African influence on their structures, their temple structures, building with stone. All right. And you could tell because you have this ancient, tribe that was over there, the Khmers. The Khmers were another African tribe who ruled in a time that ruled the area of Thailand, Cambodia, and then also Laos. Laos was a little bit north of Cambodia. Okay, so they ruled in that region, in that area, and they went in and they carved their faces in stone, just like you see in Egypt. Okay, so this is an African trait that they taken with them from Africa. It's a cultural thing where they carve their faces in stone to let the people know, hey, this is our land, this is the presence that we are here, and who these are the people that live in this land. Okay, and they left remnants of themselves, that are still there to this day. You can travel over to Cambodia right now today in the year 2021 and go see these ancient relics and ruins, and you can tell right there the African features that you see: the broadness of the nose, the fullness of the lips, the elongation of the earlobes. You can see the slantiness of the eye. That is African. Okay, don't think that people say, oh, that's a Chinese thing when you got slanted eyes. No, that's African. Okay, we're the ones who created the slantiness of the eyes. Okay, the African woman, the black woman. That's why the black woman is so important on this planet, and she's so revered and she's so venerated and so loved on this planet. You know, a lot of jealousy comes from the black. A lot of people are jealous of a lot of women are jealous of the black woman because they cannot produce what the black woman is capable of producing, and they cannot, be as beautiful as the black woman. So they just be jealous sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But you can see the stone structures in Angkor Wat. You know what I'm saying? Cambodia, of the Khmer tribe, African tribe, right there. And they took them concepts and ideas of carving and those architectural structures that they were able to carve out. That is a skill set that you see right there. That's a skill set for them to be able to carve a face like that, you know what I'm saying, in stone, okay, and be so precise with their artwork, and precision that they have when the stone. That's a skill set that's taught in African culture. Okay, so the Africans took that with them when they traveled along in boats, along the seas, through the currents, the wind currents, and settled in different parts of the world, different lands. Okay, so you can tell the influence there. And right there, that's Angkor Wat, the entryway coming into the temple structure, with you see all of the the stone structures and stuff like that of the army that's laid out there. That's no sim It's similar to, Karnak Temple. You know what I'm saying? So what you're looking at here are the Aspara. Aspara women were of Cambodia, the most beautifulest women that you will ever see. They were the dancers of that day for the Khmer, king, and man, they were just beautiful. And the movement in which they had was elegant, was so elegant and graceful. You know what I'm saying? And they're so inspired. The inspiration is so much that they venerated them in stone and showed that their, abilities and stuff like that was seductive. And there's the Aspire right here, and they had influence in the Khmer Kingdom in Cambodia, Thailand area. You know what I'm saying? And they were very beautiful women, African women. So they were venerated in stone, and let you know how important they were in that region. All right. So you have the Mani people. The Mani people of Thailand. Are traditionally there. Still to this day, remnants of them are still there. Settlements of the Mani people, the African Mani people who come from uh, Mozambique area. You know what I mean? To the east of Africa. All right. So then you see the worshiping of the Buddha. The black Buddha is all over Asia. You can see the black Buddha, the presence of the black Buddha, and the worship of the black Buddha was all throughout the southern part of Asia. And you could tell the woolliness of the hair, the elongatedness of the earlobes, and the darkening of the skin. You know what I mean? And you could tell look at the fullness of the nose and the woolliness of the hair, the braiding of the hair. This is the Buddha in Thailand. Okay. And one of the temples, the Siam temples in Thailand, will show you the cone structure that you see right there. The temple structure, you're going into the temple, you see the columns right there. That's African tradition with the columns. And then you'll notice that they have the structure shapes, looking like the pyramids of ah Dozier, the Dozier pyramid, the step pyramid of Dozier, okay, that Imhotep created. So in Kemet, you'll see that there. You see notice the tier levels in the structure that they have in their structure. And here I am right there in Saqqara with the pyramid, the step pyramid of Dozier in Saqqara, and you'll see that structure right there, and it's kind of similar to the tier structure shape in Cambodia. Okay, and this is in Egypt right here. So you can tell the similar African, concepts and ideas that they used and carried along with them from the Nile Valley. All right, so now you see like the many shapes and structures of the Buddha, with the African traditions. You see, and you notice the braiding of the hair, the African, the broadening of the nose, and you can tell the braids and stuff with the Buddhas is clearly African cultural shape. There's no way to deny it. The distinction is clearly there, and those particular idols and art pieces are still prevalent in Asia today. even the elephant. The elephant we know is indigenous to Africa as well as Asia, but it was used by Africans traditionally to, defend the country and defend the land. The elephant was used in battle and in war by Hannibal, and you could tell right here in Thailand they venerate the elephant, and given its just due as a mighty animal. You know what I'm saying? That was used during that time, and here's Hannibal right here to let you know that hey, they went into war and they went to battle. You know what I'm saying? Utilizing the elephant as a means, to protect the lands. Okay, and that's Hannibal. Hannibal won many wars and battles against the Europeans. Okay, utilizing the elephant. So all of this land right here, you see right there, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, this is Southern Asia going into Vietnam. And then you see China off a little bit to the north, and then off to the right, the Isles of the Philippines, and then further south of that is Australia. And you see all of the different lands and stuff in which the Khmer had ruled in that land. They were very prominent in that land. They had a lot of trade going back and forth with Africa and this Asian market right here. They was making a lot of different spices and silks and things like that, and trading it back and forth with Africa, and Africa would send resources back to them, and they would get trade routes going back and forth from the oceans. Okay, and they was traveling back and forth from the seas and the oceans. So the Khmer, tribe and kingdom, the dynasty of the Khmer was very powerful. Now the next dynasty that you see right here, this is in Vietnam, one of the temples here. No, I'm sorry, yeah, the temples in Vietnam. The next dynasty you see right here, the African dynasty that was very powerful, are the Champa, the Naga Champas in uh, Vietnam. So the Naga Champas, from Nagas, they Nagas comes from Maro in Sudan, in ancient in Sudan, in Nubia. Okay, so that name traveled with them. The Naga Champa and that Naga's name traveled with the Champa Nation, and then the Khmer is connected to Kemet. You know what I'm saying? So there you can have the relation to the name, the Khmer Kingdom of Cambodia connecting to Kemet, and then you have the Naga Champas connected to Sudan, okay, Southern Sudan, which is Nubia, all right, in ancient Africa. All right, so now you see the Champas, and you could tell distinctly. Look at the broad and the big the nose and the fullness of the lips, the braiding of the hair, and also the earlobes. You can see right there on this statue. This is the king, King Champa, and it'll tell you exactly who those people were in Vietnam. Okay, and this is the Buddha in Vietnam. All right, so you can tell clearly the African features are there. All right, and these structures that they carved out, and these pieces are mainly in museums right now. You know what I'm saying? They take stuff from Africa and they put them all in different museums. In the British Museum, they put them in the museum in France. Put all of our stuff on display. No other people do they display, their artifacts and stuff like that more than ancient Africans, because they know that we had so much greatness that we achieved and accomplished during our period of rule and reign on this planet, that they venerate us. But we don't even venerate ourselves. That's the sad part about it. Africans do not venerate ourselves. We think so poorly of ourselves because of slavery, and we just think in our mind that we're less than because they beat that into us for several centuries. And there's been a generational miseducation that occurred where they indoctrinated a whole generation of Africans and did not include the knowledge that the elders of their people passed down from generation to generation, was cut off. Okay, that knowledge and that cultural traditions and all of those things was cut off by the European, the white European, when they came in and conquered the African. Okay, so a lot of our knowledge is gone, but you can clearly see that the remnants of our people that they left behind, the greatness of their abilities and skill sets was left behind, and the white Europeans, they know. That's why they put us in their museums. You could tell right there that takes a lot of skill, in order to carve that in stone. Look how much detail and craftsmanship is in that stone structure right there from that face. You could tell right away, it's clearly African. Okay. So the original Buddha was black. You know what I'm saying? The one that initially the Africans was worshiping was black, and the statues are all over Asia, and you can find them anywhere. Even when the brothers went over to Vietnam the first time, in the 1960s, when the Vietnam War was going on, the United States and the brothers was going over there to fight in that war, and they saw in Vietnam, the presence, the ancient relics of their people, what I'm saying, of African structures that they saw in those relics, in those ancient ruins that were left behind. And those ruins had, temple structures. They had, carved stuff inside of the stone that the brothers were seeing. And it was really, shocked, when they went over there and they saw a lot of their faces, the black faces that they really didn't know. They wasn't aware of that knowledge that we were in that region before, the Asian had the albino. You know what I'm saying? So the Vietnam had got lighter and lighter in pigmentation, in their skin pigmentation, because of the albino, you know, uh, transformation that occurred, the mutation that happened, with the Khoisan, okay, and they lost their melanin. So then the brothers who went over there to fight in Vietnam, they saw a lot of those different relics and ruins and things, and then they were able to see, like you see right here. This is my son in I think Japan. Yeah, my son I think it may be in Vietnam or Japan, but you can see the ancient relics that are in the jungle region that are still there today. The ruins that are still there today that you can go and see. And a lot of the brothers who went through Vietnam, the Vietnam War, they were able to see and witness a lot of these things, and they were really confused, man, as to what was going on. That's why I think they was, probably trying to get high, because it was so much, stress and pressure on them, man. And then all of the knowledge that was coming, from seeing the different, ruins and relics, and then coming to understand that they had their people was, present there at some period of time. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't really know that knowledge. They had no clue, because they wasn't taught that. You know what I'm saying? After coming out of slavery in the United States. But you could see right there the ancient ruins and things like that. My San Temple are similar to what you will see in Egypt. All right. So you see right here in the Temple of Karnak, this is in Egypt right there. You can see that the ancient symbol of, burial symbol, where the Africans will cross their hands across their heart when they're in, the mummified state, signifying that they are going on to the afterlife, to the next life. You know what I'm saying? And you have that same, image there. If you blow it up on your phone, you can see them also with their arms crossed like that, okay, across their chest. This is an ancient African tradition, okay? So you'll notice that all over, so you'll see that in Asia, just like you see in Africa. So that's an ancient African cultural tradition. So in Japan, you go even further out, you go into Japan, there's African presence in Japan as well, okay? So in Japan, you can see the structures of the way they build their structures, the tier shape, just like you see in the pyramid, the step pyramid of Dozier in Egypt. Okay, take a look at the structure that they in which they build, the tier shape, one level, two level, three level into the pyramid structural shape. That is an African architectural design. Okay, in which they use it right there. So some of the Aboriginal Jaymon Japanese Africans, they came over. The first Africans came over 25,000 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And they settled in the regions in the lands of Japan, and they came on boat. And came over. Those original Africans had moved into the Japanese area and settled in them lands, and they're the indigenous people of the Japanese island. And here you got some images of some of the first, Japanese Africans, in the traditional garments. You know what I'm saying? The man, what's my man name? I can't remember his name right now. But these are warriors, you know what I'm saying? Sanku, I can't, what's his name? Sanku, Yasaki. Yeah, Yasaki was a samurai. You know what I'm saying? The black samurai, Yasaki. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, probably butchering it, but one of the first African samurai. You know what I'm saying? So you can see them in their African presence there, clearly black African in the traditional Japanese garb with the sword and everything like that. But I already showed you the picture of, the brothers doing karate on the walls of ancient Kemet. So that tradition is clearly African, in which they took over with them the fighting styles of, the Asian way. All right. So you can see the black Japanese, samurai, the brother with the sun behind his head. That's Ra, okay? The rising sun, okay? So that's Ra, the sun disk, giving veneration and honor to their African traditions in which the deities in which they, traditionally worship. You know what I'm saying? Back in the motherland of Africa. All right. So you can see that presence there. And here we going into the Philippines. In Himpa, Africa, in the West, you can see that carving right there, that piece, that art piece is carved out, is similar to the one that you see in Fugao, Philippines. You know what I'm saying? So you could tell the presence in the art, architectural art structure is the same or very similar in nature. So there is no doubt that the African influence on Asia is very large, and it was very prevalent in the Asian area. Okay, way before, like I said, the mutation occurred where the melanin was taken out of the Khoisan, and they had produced an albino baby, and those albinos multiplied and produced and multiplied and had babies of their own, albino babies of their own, and they created a whole nother, shade of race that was far melanin deficient, you know what I'm saying, from the African, and they became, the new Asians that you see today. All right, without any melanin in their skin. They farther away, but you could tell these are the original Philippines. The original Filipinos still exist, to this day. You can see the willingness of the hair, the melanation of the skin, and they still in the Philippines to this day. You probably, met a Filipino, and you probably could see some of the African features that they have uh, in their faces. Okay, these are the old ancient pictures and stuff like that. The old pictures of Filipinos, and you could tell the African features are clearly there. You know what I'm saying? Look at the African features. The Philippines, look at that. Clearly African with the woolliness of the hair, fullness of the lips, broadening of the nose. Okay. And this is the Buddha, in which they worship. You could tell with the third eye right there in the middle, the pineal gland. That's a significant feature of, the chakras, the pineal gland chakra right there. You know what I'm saying? Third eye, but you can clearly see the African broadening of the nose, the lips, and the elongation of the ears and the braiding of the hair. You know what I'm saying? Now here you see the Naga serpent. The Naga serpent here carved in the stones in Kemet, ancient Kemet, was very influential in Asia. Now they used the Naga. The Naga was their, deity in which they worshiped. You know, they understood the serpentine power of, the chakra balancing of, Kundalini energy going up through the base of the body and in through the body and then up and out, and understanding that the Kundalini energy brought you balance into this world, and the serpent was very significant as it depicted the energy, the Kundalini energy of, the individual person, of an individual person. So the serpent was venerated in Asia so much so, and they got it from Africa. You know what I'm saying? The African, the white jet, you can see on the headdress of but here's the Naga. This is the Naga, okay? So you can see the serpentine coil of the serpent snake, and then the Buddha sitting on top in the lotus position, and the Naga is around, the seven-headed snake, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, eight-headed snake, around the cobra. You know what I'm saying? So you looking at, the naga, which is the serpent, and the serpent represented the kundalini energy that flows through the chakra system. Okay. So that's what keeps you balanced, and that keeps your energy flowing and your chakras and stuff like that from your spiritual energy on the inside of you. So the Asians have venerated that part, and they got it from East Africa, which came out of the Nile Valley in Kemet, Sudan. And you can see Osiris right here, Osiris, and the top of his head on there. You can see the serpent on the top of his headdress. That's Wyjet. Wyjet is the serpent, you know what I'm saying, representing the Kundalini energy, like I mentioned before, tapping out of his pineal gland, coming through and having his chakra balance right there. So that's an ancient African tradition and understanding, okay? And you can see the connection that they had, with ancient Kemet, and then also the Asian influence in which the Africans took that tradition with them when they traveled into Asia and settled in the Asian land. Okay, Thailand, Cambodia, India, Japan, Philippines. You know what I'm saying? So the influence of the serpent, then you could tell it just carried along with them. When they traveled and moved on in. So the serpent was already always venerated, okay? And you could tell right here, and the dragon, it goes into the dragon, and the dragon and the serpent are the same. The snake represented the dragon, and it transformed into the same thing. So it moves on its belly, and it's like a serpent that moves the energy through. All right. So you could tell right here with the Buddha, ancient Buddhists in Thailand, in Japan and Cambodia with the serpent right there, the cobra. That is an ancient, tradition that's, talking about, like I said, the energy of the Kundalini. All right. So the Kundalini energy rising, it represented that energy and the balancing of that energy. So that was the representation using the serpent. All right. And we see the dragon today, the Chinese, they still utilize the dragon and the snake, as a means to represent that Kundalini energy rising. Okay. It's just a representation. And you could tell right here, this is Tutankhamun's headdress here, where his burial dress, and he has on the top of his headdress right there, Jet and Neck Bet. You know what I'm saying? The serpent and the bird. So you have the two forms of the brain, the upper and lower portion of the brain. You know what I'm saying? Jet and Neck Bet. So the bird brain is the lower portion of the brain, and the serpent in the upper part of the brain is the serpent, Jet. You know what I'm saying? So the energy that flows through, those two, energies, the balancing of those is what, we have come to know in African tradition as duality. All right. So you want to come and bring the conscious and the subconscious together, and then balance the conscious and the subconscious together. So that's where you have the serpentine and then the bird brain, and you bring those two together, and then you balance it out, and it becomes a duality that's come a singular uh, entity. Now you're a powerful being because you understand both sides. Left and right brain, upper and lower brain. You know what I'm saying? So it's duality. It's an African tradition and understanding of energy. Okay, energy balancing. So that's all it is. So when you see that, you be like, okay, now I understand. It's all about, balancing your energies and keeping your emotions and all that stuff like that in check and under control, not allowing your emotional nature to rise above your reasoning and your rationale, and you being calm and you balancing your chakras and all of those things to keep yourself, as one being connected with the universe, okay? And you stand within universal law. So that's all it meant. All right. So we can go into another, video of that and break all that down, but we'll get to that at another date and time. But this is clearly African traits and traditions that the Asians, got from Africa, from the Africans who traveled into Asia. And you could tell right here that they came out of Somalia, they came out of Egypt, went into Arabia, they went into Sumeria, which is Persia today, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, you know what I'm saying? Then they went into India. Africans traveled into Cambodia, Thailand. Laos traveled into Japan, Vietnam, Philippines, Australia, China, Europe. We went everywhere, even the Americas, okay? The islands, the Caribbeans, all of that. Africans were all over the globe. And we're going to continue to teach and let you know. The next video we do, we're going to be talking about the Caribbeans. Oh no, we're going to go into West Africa and then the Caribbeans. And then, we might go into Europe after that. But we're going to talk about every, aspect of Africans and the presence that they had in all over the globe, okay? So here you see these ancient Africans right here are slaves. I can't remember the name of the African slaves, but they were under the Tang Dynasty. Now, when the Tang Dynasty was going on in China, they were, ruling. The albinos were ruling during this time, and they brought some Africans as slaves over from the Arab slave trade. Okay, so Madagascar, Mozambique, those areas right there. These are the ancient Africans that were brought over as slaves in that region. But then, they still have a presence today in Asia. Look at that Asian lady looking at this African brother like he crazy. You know what I'm saying? He living amongst them on the train. He's been in that land. His family probably been in that land for centuries. And that's the only home that he knows right now. You know what I'm saying? He probably never went, to Africa or something like that. I don't even know. But she looking at him like he crazy, like he don't belong there. You know what I'm saying? But the brother is clearly just sitting in there on the train. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody else. Like he ain't doing nothing. He chilling. You know what I'm saying? So you see right here the Chinese Buddha. The Chinese Buddha was black. You know what I'm saying? When it started, look at the woolliness of the hair. Look at the fullness of the nose and the lips. Okay, and the earlobe, the elongation. This is the first Buddha in China. All right, clearly black features. All right, black features right here. The Buddhas in China. Woolly hair, things of that nature. Look at that. Chinese Africans and things of that nature in statues. I mean, art pieces that they put together. And you can see their art pieces that they created, with the halo around the sun disk, around the heads in China, in Asia. Clearly African, as you can see. You know what I'm saying? The African influence with the Ra, halo around their head. That's the sun disk protecting them. You know what I'm saying? The protection of Ra, the sun. Okay, so they venerated that. Same with their Buddha. Look at the sun, around the head of the black Buddha. Okay, that's Ra right there with the melanated Buddha, black beings. That's the artwork, an art piece of ancient China. All right, letting you know that they venerated African Buddhas. All right, because the original, indigenous people of the land were from Africa. All right, who went over there and inhabited the Asian lands. All right. So the Africans were the first to inhabit those lands. Okay. So some books that I recommend that you read, the African Samurai, what I'm saying? A very good book about Yakasaki, Yasuki. I keep butchering his name, but Yasuki, a very good book, a very good read about the first black warrior in Japan. And then also the African Star over Asia by the elder who just recently transitioned on to paradise, you know what I'm saying, in power, Ronoko Rashidi. Very, very powerful book. I recommend anyone going to get it. I recommend everybody going to get it. You know what I'm saying? The African Star over Asia. You know what I'm saying? The presence of Africans in the East. All right. All right, that's it. That's it. That's all the lesson we have for today. You know what I'm saying? The lesson is done. Hope you enjoyed that. Going over that historical, lesson right there. African presence in Asia. Clearly, you can see the African presence in Asia, the southern part right there in Asia. You know what I'm saying? You can go there to this day and visit those regions: Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, Philippines, Japan, Australia, India. You can check out all of those areas and you can find the ancient ruins, you know what I'm saying? The ancient ruins of African people who populated and populated those lands many, many, many years ago. All right. So dig, the video is over and the video is done. So need you to go over to marifasar.com. Check us out over there at marifasar.com. Get you 15% off your purchase when you order and use the promo code BLK at checkout. All right, you did. Go over to marifasar.com and get you something flying fresh for the fall and winter fashions. All right, don't forget to like and follow and share all of our social media platforms at Marifa Asar LLC. Also, leave us a comment in the comment section and tell us what you think about this video. And we got more videos coming up. You know what I'm saying? We're going to be discussing more African studies, and we're going to be continuing our journey along the African travels into the world and their contributions that they had all over the globe. Okay, so stay tuned and we'll be back with more. You know what I'm saying? And this is your man Marifa. You know what I'm saying? Remember, this has been a Marifa moment now. The more you know, the more you'll grow, and the better off we all shall be. So until next time, I'll say, love and light. Peace. Let's go. We made it. We made it. Live at Seneferu's Pyramid. Okay, Seneferu built this